What is up, 12s? Welcome back to the channel. Look, John Schneider and this front office never ever sleep. Right in the middle of OTAs, when you think the roster is set and guys are just getting their conditioning in, Seattle pulls off a trade that has my phone blowing up. We are talking about a classic low-risk, massive reward move for a guy whose entire NFL dream is hanging by a thread. This comes right after the team had to waive Michael Briscoe for failing to disclose a physical condition. We needed depth, we needed grit, and Schneider went out and got a relentless physical competitor. If you love how this front office hunts for diamonds in the rough, do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like, help us hit our goal of 1,000 subscribers, and let me know in the comments, can this new weapon actually make the final 53? Let's get into it. Go Hawks! All right, let's break this down. The newest member of the Seattle Seahawks is former New York Jets wide receiver Irv Charles. According to my sources and a report from The Athletic's Zach Rosenblatt, Seattle is sending a conditional 7th-round pick over to New York to secure his services. Now, on paper, a conditional 7th-rounder might not seem like a blockbuster. But when you look at the human element of this trade, it is incredibly compelling. Irv Charles is 29 years old, and to put it bluntly, his NFL career is on absolute life support. This is a kid who fought his way up from the Indiana University of Pennsylvania, catching 39 passes for nearly 800 yards and 12 touchdowns back in 2021. He went undrafted in 2022, but the Jets saw something in him and signed him to a 3-year deal. He spent his rookie year learning, grinding, and putting in the work without seeing a single game of action. But in 2023, he forced his way onto the active roster, playing in 12 games. He became an absolute demon on special teams. That is his calling card. That is why John Schneider made this call. In 2024, he was a key piece of the Jets' coverage units, flying down the field in 13 games. Then, disaster struck in Week 14. He tore his ACL, landing on injured reserve. That injury completely wiped out his entire 2025 campaign. He didn't play a single snap last year. Imagine the mental toll of that. You work your entire life to get to the league, you finally carve out a niche as a special teams ace, and then your knee gives out, forcing you to watch from the sidelines for an entire calendar year. Now he's healthy, and the defending champion Seahawks are giving him one final, beautiful lifeline to save his career. Think about what this represents for a second. We've seen this movie before in Seattle, haven't we? This is the ultimate reclamation project. But here is the catch, and this is where the plot thickens. Charles isn't walking into an empty room. He is walking straight into a meat grinder of a wide receiver competition. Let's paint the picture. Our on-site insider, Michael Hanich, just dropped his latest 53-man roster projection. And when you look at the names already locked into that room, it makes your head spin. We have Jackson Smith-Njigba leading the charge. We have Cooper Kupp, Rashid Shaheed, Torrey Horton, Jake Bobo, and the incredibly exciting rookie Emmanuel Henderson. That is 6 wide receivers right there who are virtually locks to make this team. In today's NFL, carrying 7 wide receivers on the active roster is an absolute luxury that most front offices simply cannot afford due to roster constraints. And even if John Schneider decides to go against the grain and keep a 7th receiver, Irv Charles isn't just going to be handed the job. He is going to have to outwork, outplay, and outperform guys like Velus Jones Jr., Ricky White, and Cody White just to get a sniff of the active roster. The margin for error here is razor thin. If Charles doesn't show out immediately during these OTA sessions and carry that momentum directly into the heat of training camp, his stay here in the Pacific Northwest is going to be incredibly short-lived. But that is exactly what makes this story so fascinating. He has his back against the wall, fighting against the clock, fighting against his own body, and fighting against a stacked depth chart. It is a cinematic do-or-die situation for a player who has already proven he knows how to survive. Now, from what I am hearing around the league, this move tells us a lot about how John Schneider is constructing the back half of this roster. As an insider, you constantly look at the philosophy behind these minor trades. Why Irv Charles? Why now? The answer lies in the third phase of the game, special teams. We know how much Mike McDonald and John Schneider value players who can make an impact on kickoff and punt coverage. When you lose a guy like Michael Briscoe under those strange circumstances, waived for failing to disclose a physical condition, it leaves a void. You need bodies for the grind of the summer, but more importantly, you need guys who can play with a relentless motor. Charles is 6'4", physical, and when he was healthy in New York, he was one of the first guys down the field making plays. He is a tone setter. The Seahawks aren't trading for him expecting him to catch 60 passes from our quarterback. They are trading for him because they want to see if that dog is still in him after the ACL injury. They want to see if he can be the gunner who pinches the opponent inside their own 10-yard line in a crucial fourth-quarter moment. This is a calculated roll of the dice. If he flashes that pre-injury speed and physicality, a conditional 7th-round pick is an absolute steal. If his knee isn't quite back to 100%, or if the game has passed him by, Seattle moves on with 0 dead money and 0 regrets. It is a classic front office masterclass in roster manipulation. But for Irv Charles, this isn't a front office exercise. This is his life. This is his dream. Every single rep in OTAs is going to feel like the Super Bowl for him, and that kind of desperate energy can be absolutely infectious inside a locker room. Let's talk about the sheer grit it takes to be in Irv Charles's shoes right now. Think about the pressure. You fly into Seattle, you walk into the Virginia Mason Athletic Center, you look at the championship banners, and you realize you have about 6 weeks to prove you belong in the NFL. Every route has to be crisp. Every block on special teams has to be violent. There is no time to ease into the system. The coaching staff is watching every single step he takes, evaluating if his knee can handle the explosive cuts required at this level. And let's not overlook the guys he is competing against. Velus Jones Jr. has elite speed. Ricky White and Cody White are hungry, younger players who want those exact same special teams snaps. This is a high-stakes chess match played out on the grass of the practice fields. For the 12s, this is the kind of roster battle that makes training camp so beautiful. It's not just about the superstars, it's about the guys at the bottom of the roster who are playing for their families, playing for their futures, and playing to keep their dreams alive. John Schneider loves these stories because they bring out the absolute best in everyone else. When the starters see a guy like Charles throwing his body around on a Tuesday morning in June, it raises the intensity of the entire team. It forces everyone to elevate their game. Whether Charles makes the final cut or not, his presence in this building is going to push this wide receiver room to a completely different level of intensity. At the end of the day, this trade is a beautiful reminder of why we love this game so much. Football isn't just a business of salary caps, draft picks, and roster projections. It is a human drama. It is about a 29-year-old kid from a small school who refused to let an undrafted status stop him, who clawed his way into the league, survived a devastating ACL tear, and is now standing on the precipice of his ultimate dream with the Seattle Seahawks. This is his mountain to climb. The odds are heavily stacked against him. The media isn't picking him to make the team. The roster projections don't have his name in the final 53, and he is fighting against younger, healthier players. But that is exactly when the magic happens. We've seen players come to Seattle with nothing left to lose and turn their careers around under the cloudy skies of the Pacific Northwest. Irv Charles has the size, he has the special teams pedigree, and most importantly, he has the hunger of a man who knows this is his absolute last shot in the NFL. I don't know about you, but I am rooting for him. I want to see him fly down the field in preseason, make that game-saving tackle on special teams, and force John Schneider to make an incredibly difficult decision in August. That is the Seahawks way. We compete, we grind, we find a way when everyone else says it's impossible. Keep your eyes locked on number 82, or whatever jersey number he grabs, because this battle in the wide receiver room is about to be one of the most intense storylines of the entire summer. We will be tracking every single update right here. Thank you so much for watching, 12s. Stay loud, stay proud, and let's see if we can catch lightning in a bottle once again. Go Hawks!